Welcome everyone to the Think Like a Marketer show at episode 10. We got an exciting guest today. Yeah, you can see he's super entertaining. And like me, he's talkative. So we're going to make for an interesting show. Hey, here at the Think Like a Marketer show, we bring in entrepreneurs, marketers, innovators, and kind of dig in their mind and see what makes them think so differently. So a little bit about today's guest. Today's guest has an interesting background that started out in the Navy. I'll take you from the Navy and how he took working on a nuclear sub to end up being one of the top real estate brokerage firms here in Houston, Texas. I think he has a couple in Florida and other states and expanding out. And how the Navy helped that and the nuclear sub help is going to make for an interesting topic. Our topic today is how, for those of you who know that you need to engage with consumers to be successful, but you hate being seen, like you hate being on camera. Cory's going to share some of the things that he's used, some of the things that he recommends for his top agents and that he's just experiencing himself. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Cory Kammerdiener. Cory, now I know the last name is, what's the proper way to say it? If I was in Germany, what would be the proper way to say your last name?
Kammerdiener.
Yes.
Kammerdiener. That's German. And I'll tell you, if you say it wrong in America and a German hears you say it wrong, bro, you will offend them. Because that name, it carries weight in Germany. It actually means, it's kind of like, it's a servant of a king, but he's like the personal valet of the king. You know, let me get your clothes for your king. What do you want to eat? So I can get the butlers to bring you what you want to eat. So it's the personal assistant of a king. You see?
Wow,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah. So that servant is held in high regard because he's the personal assistant to the king. You see? So trust me, it's my last name, but even Germans will jump on my case if I say, "Oh, my name is Kammerdiener." You see? So they'll correct you quick.
That's how we say it in Texas. So we have a whole new language in Texas.
You got to put a twang on it because when Germans came over here, they were all country bunkers, right? So their dialect changed. They speak in a twangish, type, country bunking, language, their dialect.
Right. So we chatted a little bit before we got on here, and you have some interesting stories. I want to give them just a sense of the young version of Cory and how you progressed to be you've always been tall, So in high school, you were the nerdy guy, right? That tore apart things and wanted to know how it worked. But there's an interesting thing that you told me about. So nowadays, when I was younger and we were younger, it's like playing video games that's what kids did. Like I had an Atari when I was younger in different age groups. But I never thought that somebody could get paid to do that if they recorded themselves. But you, even way back before they were doing that, tell us a story about how you figured out how to record yourself before you could actually do it, like with Twitch, for example.
Okay, so back in the day, before there was even VHS, there was Betamax. Okay, so back in the day of Betamax, you just simply had the audio and video cables that you could plug directly into your TV. And at that time, I believe it was Nintendo, probably version 1, Genesis, which was the master system, was out, which was awesome. And then TurboGrafx 16, which nobody can afford, okay? And they didn't have a lot of games, but so I had the Sega Master System. I lean more Sega versus Nintendo, by the way, kind of like I lean more Ford versus Chevy. But then the Sega Genesis CD came out, so this is when the advent of the CD-ROM came out, and in order for me to master these games and to beat the game, because if you're going to invest $50-$60 in a game, you don't want to beat it and just throw it away, right? You got to keep beating it over and over and over, beat your time, learn different strategies, and maybe take different directions in the game. So what I did was I connected the Betamax to the TV. I connected the video game to the TV. Also, before there was surround sound, I had my audio components also connected to the TV with the subwoofers. So I literally had a full-blown surround sound system, video game, entertainment system that I could record everything on the Betamax. So then I could go back and replay what I did right or what I did wrong and try to be able to beat the game faster, quicker, better, and also to use it to train other people. Because really what I wanted to do is if I bought the game, I wanted to rent it out to other people, just like the video stores were doing. So, and I wanted to be able to say, listen, this game can be beatable. If you want to see that it can be done, I've recorded, just pop this into your Betamax and you can see how I did it.
Wow. See, you just lived in the wrong place. You lived in Pennsylvania, Indiana, Pennsylvania. So you could really confuse people. Like you're from Pennsylvania, no, Indiana.
Okay, so I was born in Indiana, Pennsylvania, but my dad was in the Army, so I lived all over the place. But in the time of my youth, it was more of West Virginia, and Oklahoma was the last place I lived before I left for the military. So, but all over the place. I lived in probably 15 different states in America.
Wow. That story right there is just the proof that, timing is everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because that exact concept that you're talking about right now is huge. I mean, kids all over the world are recording themselves.
Oh yeah.
And they now have a way to pipe it out so other people can learn from them, be entertained by them, and they actually get paid for it.
Exactly. That is some of the biggest YouTube channels today are gamers channel. And actually, I think YouTube specifically has a portion of YouTube dedicated strictly for gamer channels.
Oh, that they have to. I mean, they have this world champion or whatever. It's like this gamer conference that's like 10 times the size of the Super Bowl, the audience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these guys are actually going to take over being athletes. People are going to stop wanting to be a wide receiver, and they're going to want to be a gamer.
Well, you remember when they came out with the movie about Nintendo and Fred Savage was the guy who was going to go to the company? Yeah. So these kids today, they probably don't even know that there was a video made like 20, 30 years ago about that.
Right. So now we know you're officially a nerd when you're a kid. And you had all the ladies just loving you.
Oh no. I was a tall, lanky guy that had nothing going for him. So I tried to play sports, but that didn't work out for me.
Yeah. So high school, you end high school and you decide college is not for you and you chose the Navy. What in your right mind made you choose to get on a sub of all places you could go, be on a submarine?
Okay. So, I was a computer geek, right?
Yeah.
So when I walk into a recruiting station and I see from a Popular Mechanics magazine, the trifold of a submarine, okay, up on the wall, and below it was an actual submariner. And I'm seeing all the freaking technology that this thing has. And they're like, hey, we noticed you scored high on electronics on your ASVAB. I'm like, yeah, I know. I go to Votech for that. So I'm pretty good at computers and electronics. And I looked at the submarine. I'm like, what is that? He said, that's a submarine. I'm like, wow, could I be on something like that? He's like, yeah, you have the scores and it's 100% voluntary. So are you volunteering? And I'm like, heck yeah. He says, well, guess what? You get paid more money to go on it. I'm like, I'm sold. Sign me. Now, again, I was 16 years old. I wasn't even of the legal age to join the military. It just so happened I started school early. So he got me excited. He sold me, but then I had to come back a couple months later when I turned 17, which was the first day of my high school senior year. So that day I went to school. August 24th was the first day of high school. I was 17 years old. As soon as class was out, bro, I got on my motorcycle, went straight to the recruiting office and had them resell me. And again, I wasn't old enough to make the decision. So he says, now that you're sold, we got to sell your mom and dad. So let's go ahead and put a package together where we can sell them together. And then that's when they came to my house and sold my parents.
Nice. So I know there's a lot of restrictions because it is a nuclear sub on things that you can or can't say. And I had a lot of questions and you couldn't really answer them. One of the questions I asked is like, how long are you underwater? Like that's something that I think a lot of people want to know. And it's a question you can't really officially answer. And it makes sense when you tell me. It's not, a lot of people say like, oh, I can't tell you. It's like, yeah, yes, you can. But actually in this topic, it totally makes sense why somebody couldn't share it. So tell them your official answer and then tell them what with the propeller thing. What we had talked about. Okay.
So the question is, typically, how long can a submarine be underwater, or how long has Cory Kammerdiener been underwater? The second question, I have no idea how long I was underwater, okay? Because, once you're under the water, I don't know if it's daytime or nighttime out because we operate in 18-hour days, not 24-hour days on a submarine. So how long can a submarine go underwater? Very simple question. The limitation of a submarine is limited by the amount of food that it can carry. So when a submarine goes out and they're going to go away for a 6-month deployment, 90 days is the amount of food that they can carry to feed 140 guys or however many guys is going to be. There's different types of submarines. So the limitation is really based on the amount of food. Now, are you limited to air? No, because why? We can take seawater outside of a submarine, suck it in, break it down on a molecular level, and pull the oxygen out of the H2O, and we make our own oxygen. We could breathe forever on a submarine underwater. Power. We have a nuclear reactor. That joker's good for 5-10 years or whatever. So we're not limited to power. We're not limited to oxygen. We're not limited to water because we're surrounded by salt water, which we can purify through our purification system. We're limited based on food, you see? So I don't know. How long can a submarine stay under? Some go under 10 days, 20 days, 3 months, but I can promise you 90 days. If you're under for 90 days, you're going to have to pop up. If not, everybody's going to start eating everybody else on the boat, okay? Cannibalism, okay? Right. So that's the thing. You did mention something about why we can't say certain things or answer questions, and really we're told to say we can neither confirm nor deny that. And here's the reason why. Probably a lot of people that's going to be watching this are pretty smart people. That's why they're watching it. So we all know that we can reverse engineer almost anything, okay? So if you knew exactly how fast a submarine can go, and you knew exactly how deep it can go, if you start from point A and you're tracking it, and let's say you lost it, because you know how fast it can go and how deep it can go, you can reverse engineer and come up with a good estimation of where it could potentially be. And there's some other factors involved. So how fast does a submarine go? You can look at the propeller on the back of a submarine, which is called a screw, okay? But you guys know as propeller. Based on the number of blades, you can actually conclude how fast or how many knots that submarine can go through the water. That's why if you ever see a submarine that's not in the water and is pulled up, they're going to cover the propeller. Because why? That's top secret information. Because again, if you know the top speed of a submarine, the enemy can deduce where you can go if they're chasing you down.
Wow. I mean, there's so many fascinating questions that I'm sure a lot of people have about a submarine, but I wanted to move a little bit closer to the actual topic that we wanted to talk about. So now you get out of the Navy, you were a recruiter in the Navy, actual government. You were trained as a professional salesperson by the U.S. government. Now you get out. You're working 2 jobs, Best Buy and Bassett Furniture. Is that where you work?
Yeah, so I left military recruiting where I was taking civilians, recruiting them into the Navy. But I got recruited by a headhunting firm called the Lucas Group, whose job was to recruit people from the military that had high profile skills. And I placed them with Fortune 500 companies like Applied Materials and believe it or not, Enterprise Car Rental. Most of their hires are military people for their upper management level. Same thing with Home Depot. So I took people from the military and I put them in Fortune 500 companies. But then I ended up getting laid off because after 9/11, nobody was really hiring. So there was no need for me to be a headhunter anymore. So that's when I scrambled to find any job I can take, to be honest. And believe it or not, Walmart actually turned me down for a $7 an hour job. Walmart wouldn't even give me a job. So I ended up at Best Buy as a Geek Squad member before it was actually Geek Squad. Back then, I believe we wore like yellow shirts or something like that. But we were the guys that when you bought a computer, we sold it to you, we opened it up, we put the antivirus on it, and we try to sell you other products. And if you had an issue with the computer, you'd bring it back in under warranty and we would fix it. So I was part of the Geek Squad, but also I worked at Bassett Furniture selling furniture in the evening times, and I was a Navy reservist. So that's 3 jobs that pretty much I was working for almost a year while I was trying to go back in the Navy and finish up my career, but then they downsized. So what was I supposed to do? Keep hustling for $10 an hour at Best Buy and, trying to sell overpriced furniture. So I ended up getting a job working for a home builder after that.
Right. So now you you're entered in the real estate industry. You work for, I'm sure you worked at a firm or someone else's brokerage for a while.
Yep.
What took you to decide that, like, okay, now I want to do my own thing?
Well, when I came from home building, I had a year experience of financing, credit, building houses, sales. So when I became a real estate agent, I needed to find a way to get my own business. So I created a website called newhomeprograms.com. So for 5 years, I did work for another real estate company. It's called Realm Realtors back then. And I used my website to do lead generation so that I can have sales. But as I start to get so many leads, I said, you know what? I have an opportunity here. I can't work all these leads, but because I'm underneath somebody else's company, I'm limited in what I can do. When you work for someone else's company, you don't have 100% authority. So what I decided to do is I needed to launch my own company, and I took a website that I created back in 2004, and it was created to be a real estate brokerage. So a website became an actual company, a real estate corporation. And then I started recruiting agents underneath my company, teaching them lead generation and the art of sales, and also real estate contracts and stuff like that.
Right. So now that takes us to the topic. Now we've kind of gave them a little sense of you, your nerdy style, how you've been trained in sales, and now you own your own firm. You have a mortgage company. You have you have insurance, right?
Yep.
You even have your own credit card.
You have our own credit card backed by First National Bank of Omaha, Nebraska.
You have financial services. People have credit issues. You can help them with that, totally free. Yep. And you did all that majority behind the scenes. Like you did, you weren't on camera a lot.
The same laptop that I'm on right now from my house. This is actually my house, by the way. From this room, from this laptop is what we've been doing. Yeah.
So give us a couple of things. Like I'm sure that because there's a lot of people, because you and I don't mind being on camera. It's not that we mind. I mean, I enjoy it, but
I love it.
The majority of the people just are afraid of it, public speaking, or put them on camera, like, or even radio where people can't see them. They're terrified of even that. But those people still need to make a living. They still need to engage with people to get business. So what are some of the things that you have found that worked for people? Because I'm sure you have people that are under you that don't like doing any of those things.
Yeah.
But you need to help them be successful too.
So here's the thing. This is basic sales 101. And I learned this from Navy recruiting. Okay. You have to find a method to get before the masses, a multitude, in the shortest period of time. Okay. Least amount of effort, but with the highest impact. So before the advent of the internet/digital marketing, it was the telephone. So you'd be given a list. So for example, I'd get a list of 500 seniors that were going to be graduating, and I had all their test scores if they took the test. I weed out the ones that weren't going to qualify for anything in the military, and the ones that did have the scores. Should I go and track them down at school one by one? Should I go to their houses one by one? Or should I pick up the phone and start dialing for dollars? So 1 hour in an office, I could literally talk to 20 to 30 people on the telephone. With the advent of the internet, I can run an ad on social media, and in less than 24 hours, I can have 20,000 people hear my message. You see?
Right.
And here's the good thing. When you're on the phone, you have to put in the time on the phone. You'd have to invest an hour on the phone to talk to 20 people. I can invest 5 minutes on social media, put an ad, shut my computer, go to the beach, and in 24 hours while I'm hanging out at the beach having fun, my ad is the one generating the callbacks and the leads for me. It's leverage, leveraging your time, your money, and your resources. But it's still a simple, basic concept. We just went from dialing for dollars, okay, fishing, by calling off of a list, to throwing out your advertisement, targeting to people that are going to be, somewhat going to be your clients that are qualifiable, and then having them chase you back. And that's why we create websites, right? You create a website because why? Your business is operating 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. When you're sleeping, you're making money because why? Your website is out there. So it's no different. You just got to find a way to get people to come to your website, and that's where social media, digital marketing comes into play.
Right. Steve Jobs, and I'll paraphrase what he talked about in one of his many interviews. He was a great storyteller. If somebody ever asked him a question, he would never like directly answer it. Like they would ask him a question like, what is it like working with difficult people? He wouldn't just say, "Oh, it's hard," because it is hard. He would actually tell a story. And there's a really good one out there, but I'm not going to share it because it's a long story. But he talked about if you took a human being, just our physicality of a human being, and you took a cheetah or even an ostrich. I think the example he gave was an ostrich. And they did a foot race, the ostrich would destroy us in a foot race. But humans, we have the ability to be innovative, and we can create motorcycles or motorized vehicles that now we can leverage that part of our brain, and we could run circles around now the ostrich or even a cheetah. But our physical, just us as humans matched up to, gorillas as far as strength, there's no match. But
That's true.
Leveraging our knowledge and using the tools that we have that people have created, in this case, it's, the mediums and social media and all the different types of mediums and like you said, the telephone and the cell phone and text messaging and email. And why people don't leverage those is beyond me. Like, why would you race against the cheetah if you have a car?
Fear. It's fear.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, okay? But they're afraid to be an entrepreneur. Why? An entrepreneur, you're going to have to deal with people. Society today, just the way that our neighborhoods and our cities are structured, like if you live in a subdivision, how many people will say that they know the guy across the street, like know him, not know of him, but know him, know his kids' names, know where he works at, know what time he leaves for the work in the morning. How many people know the guy across the street and the two neighbors on the side? They don't. So they live a life of solitude. Yes, they go out in the city, they drive in a car, there's millions of people that they pass, but they're disconnected from other human beings. So the idea of getting a bunch of business, everybody loves it. But what do I do once I get all that business? And this is this situation that we're talking about, the engagement, okay? So I personally believe that in order for someone to want to give me an opportunity to even hear about my business, they have to make a decision in their mind, do I like this guy? Okay? How many times we look at a person like, man, that guy has beady eyes. You know what? There's something off with him. I don't even want to walk by that guy. You see? So you have to crack the barrier to get people to like you. Now, I understand with all this political junk out there, I don't care if people don't like me. I have an opinion. If you don't like it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you'll be an employee. You go be an employee, work for someone else, and have access to your opinions. But when you own a company and you own a business, especially when you have employees in your company that you need to make sure that they got food on their table, I don't care about what my opinion is. I'm going to get everyone to like me, whether you're a Christian, a Satanist, a Republican, a Democrat. My message is, if I'm going to advertise, you're probably going to do your research on me. At a company level, you're going to look at reviews. Okay? All my reviews are going to be stellar because why? I beg people, listen, did we do a good job? Please give me a 5-star rating. Why? Because other people will say, how many other people like New Home Programs that are willing to testify? Okay, if they like New Home Programs, then there's a good chance I will probably like New Home Programs too. But me as a human being, marketing myself on Facebook, social media, I need to make sure that I'm not offending people out there to the best of my ability, because if you're offending people, why in the world would they like you? They'll never want to talk to you to do business with you, you see? So you have to walk in the middle. You have to walk a fine line, not living a life offending people, always trying to attract people to you, because you never know who your next client's going to be. So step one is getting people to like you. Now, I could like a person and not know them. Oh, yeah, I know of that guy. I know of Randall, but I don't know Randall. I don't know your mom's name. I don't know what state you grew up in. I don't know who your friends were in school. Until we get together and have a relationship, there's no way I can know you. Now, if I don't know you, how can I trust you? You see? Like, if we went into business together, I would do massive research on you so that I could get to know everything about you, and then I can make a logical decision. So, you know what? I can trust this man with my money, my time, and my resources. So those are the 3 elements. But how can you get someone to trust you if they don't know you? And how can you get someone to know you if they haven't even made a decision if they like you? So,
Right.
as we were talking about a week ago, on my personal Facebook page, let's take out the company pages, I will always post almost daily all kinds of stuff about babies, because I have a baby now and everybody likes babies. That's why I keep posting my baby. Okay. I went on a family vacation. I went riding horses. Why? There's people that like riding horses. They'll probably like, you know what? I didn't think Cory was the type that would get on a horse. So guess what I do? I get on a horse and I take a million pictures of me on a horse. So now people are like, you know what? I think I could get to like this Cory guy, because why? He likes horses and farms just like I do. So then what do I do the next day? I get on a boat in a lake. I get a bunch of pictures on a boat. Wow, Cory is a boater. I'm a boater. You know what? I think I could like that guy. I get a picture of all my family. Oh, Cory's a family man. I'm a family man. I think I could like that guy, Cory. You see? So you have to use your personal social media, unblock it so that everybody can see it. Okay? Because if someone is a bad person that wants to hurt you, you can block that individual. But I leave it unblocked for everybody. Why? So that people will send me requests to be able to connect with me as friends, so that I can look at their page to see if I like them. They can look at my page to see if they like me. And at the end of the day, it's just a matter of time when they say, I need a house, I need a mortgage, I need life insurance, I need auto insurance, whatever. They're going to say, you know what? There's a person that I actually like. I don't know him, but maybe I should reach out and call him, have a conversation. And once we have that relationship, you know what? Maybe I'll hire him as my real estate agent.
Right.
So that's the engagement part, is putting yourself out there so that you draw people in, and then you start building that relationship, which is really the engagement. Engagement is relationship building.
Right. This week, Kylie Jenner, they talked about her, how she is going to be the youngest billionaireess. And she did it in 3 years, by the way. Self-made. Now, self-made, not meaning she did it all by herself, because everybody knows you don't make that much money. You don't make a massive amount of money alone. You have a team. You have a lot of people behind the scenes. What they meant by self-made is that she didn't inherit it, because most people inherit billions. She actually earned it. But from looking at hers, it's three things that you can learn from her, and that you're talking about is, number one, you got to build an audience. You got to be open and transparent and okay with, if you run a business, you have to reach the most amount of people to let them know you exist. It's kind of like, if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? I don't know. If nobody's there, who knows? So you have to have people actually know about you. So the first step is that you gotta let the most amount of people know who you are. And how do you do that? What's the easiest way? What is everybody looking at? They're looking at their phone. So you know where their attention's at.
Right here.
Exactly. So the second thing is they have to, like you said, they have to like you. Actually, they have to be able to connect with you. Maybe they, like you said, they don't know everything about you, but there's some sort of connection, and they're, like you said, that you like cats or dogs or skydiving or yoga or whatever that connection was. So they connect with you. And then the last thing is that they look for you for advice. If you can get those three things, you can have a massive amount of success in whatever you do, business, or, in her case, she's selling makeup. She's a trender. That means that's what she sells. She keeps up with trends, and now she has makeup lines that people are paying her massive amount of money for.
There you go.
So in her case, she was fine with being on camera. So what are a couple of things that you have found that work for people that maybe they don't necessarily want to be on camera? Have you found anything that's useful?
Well,
or camera or audio?
Okay. So we're on camera right now. Okay. But social media, it can be simplified. You can just post pictures of your family. So again, people are making an educated decision. Should I reach out to this person? It's either going to be yes or no. Yes is probably because, you know what? Again, I can connect with you. So you don't have to be the person who can speak on a camera, because a lot of people, you just say we're rolling and they freeze up. So just a still image of you went on vacation, you had a baby, just simple things like that. But we have I see people that have Facebook accounts in my own company, and I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you on Facebook in probably like a year. Yeah, I kind of took a break. So if you took a break on Facebook, then that means you took a break in your business. And I know that is true because they go hand in hand because I pay the checks. You see? So I can see the correlation. The more the agents are on social media pushing out all kinds of content, they're going to make more money. Because why? Those were the customers. That's where they're getting the customers for. Everybody knows in sales that the number one most awesome sales is what? Referral. Social media is the best referral network out there because you get so many people in a short amount of time. So I think it's not that they don't want to do it and they can't do it. It's what if I do it and I get people that I don't know who want to use my service? One, am I incompetent in my career? I think that's the number one reason for fear. If I get all this business and I'm new in real estate, what if I mess up and I make a fool of myself to all these hundreds and thousands of people? What if I get one bad review on my profile because I mess up and I spend all this money and now thousands of people that are on my page see this 1-star review? So I believe it's a fear of incompetency or the fear of not being able to talk to strangers. That is a legitimate fear. I've analyzed people in my company. I say, wait a minute, dude, how can you sell 15 houses a year? And I track the source codes. They're all family members or referral from family members. But yet I sent you 30 leads per month of complete strangers and you can't even close one. That tells me that they don't like talking to people that they don't know.
Right.
Well, so that's why a lot of people won't do social media. They don't want to talk to the people.
In real estate, it's so ironic because it says real estate salesperson. Yep. And anybody who knows anything about sales, that means that you're going to be talking to a lot of people that you have no idea who they are and they have no idea who you are. And people shouldn't do a job that are things that they don't want to do. Like, if you don't like cats, you probably shouldn't go work at a place that grooms cats. I mean, you would be grooming cats all day on something you don't like to do. I think you're right in that. It's those two major things. They feel like that they don't know enough, and that they're uncomfortable calling somebody because there are elements of cold calling in any sales it's the rejection that they don't like. It's not the actual meeting a new person. It's that every day they have, if you've sent them 15 leads, that's 15 chances for them to be rejected.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's a catch-22. That's the only way you can learn by experience. So what we do is when we identify that, we're like, okay, dude, start with your family members and your friends, use them to learn and build experience. And then once you feel confident in yourself, then you start marketing to strangers. So it's just how it is. And it's like in high school. Like in high school, most people say, well, I have 1 or 2 friends, right? But dude, you're a graduating class of 500 people. You only really know 2 or 3 people. Even in high school, why don't we go out and know other people in our class? I was the type of person that I hung out with people that were jocks. I hung out with the nerds. I joined a chess club and, learned chess. And I learned all kinds of people. I joined FFA, okay, Future Farmers of America. So I had associations with a diversity of people. I wasn't best friends of all of them. But at the end of the day, all those people that I weren't best friends with back then, almost all of them are on my Facebook page.
Right.
You see, but I didn't even have a strong relationship with them in high school. But on Facebook now, because we've grown up, we've matured, now I have a stronger relationship with them. Because why? I'm confident now, I'm older now. And so that's what I tell people is start building relationships every day, one person at a time, because you don't know in 10 years from now how that relationship would have developed and what it could bring in your life.
Right. One of the things, like when, because I do this show now, but I also do a lot of videos in between here. Last year I think it was like 1,100 live videos, just random things. I know.
One of Randall tying his shoe. Randall brushing his teeth.
Exactly. One of the things that I always am mindful of is if somebody watches my videos and they meet me in person, I'm the same person. There's nothing worse than, growing up, you're always like, oh, I want to meet whoever that famous person that you liked or athlete. and you meet them and they were jerks, and you go, wow, that was not the person that I thought it was going to be. And when you use social media, it's just be yourself. And because you don't have to remember or fake being anybody. If you be yourself, it's easy to be yourself. Just be yourself. Unless you're a jerk, then just don't do it. So you had a couple of tips on, we were talking about, pages, and then we were talking about groups, because I know you have how many people you have on in your group or your page?
Okay, I have several groups, bro.
I know.
I got a group just for our company, which is like 70 people within our company, and allows them to build relationships with one another. I have groups that are at the company level, because when you have a Facebook page, obviously Facebook makes money from businesses when you have a business page and you're able to do ads, because you can't run ads from a personal page. You can only run it from a business. So even if you had like 1 million people on your company page, if you made a post, 1 million people ain't going to see that. You're going to have to pay more money for them to see it. So what we started doing a while ago was creating groups inside the company pages, and then converting those likes into the group, so that when we make posts, that they can see our advertisement, but more importantly, become a community where they can talk amongst themselves. You see, hey, I'm working with an agent at New Home Program. I'm excited. Has anyone worked with New Home Programs that has closed on a deal? Is there any points or tips? You can do that within a group. You can't really do that on a page. You see, so groups are very important. So I have groups for, different type of languages, and, Venezuelans moving to Texas. That group probably has like 16,000 people, so we got tons of groups out there. And the thing about the personal page and the business page, when you have a personal page, you can post in groups. See, when you have a personal page, you can post on other people's company pages. When you have a personal page and you go to people's blogs, a lot of times now their blogging platform is integrated with a single sign-on for Facebook, which means instead of registering your name and email to be able to comment on a blog, you click on log in with Facebook, and you're actually blogging and commenting with your Facebook account. So every time you leave a comment on a blog or on a group or whatever, people can see your profile. So what I do is I post things that would make someone say, you know what? I see what he's saying, but let me click on Cory's profile and see what type of person he is, to see if I like him. And that's why every day I'll get about 15 people asking to join my personal page. You see, and that's how I build it up. Now, you can only have 5,000 people as friends. So that's why Facebook came out with the follow button. So now, instead of just adding people on as my friends, they can click follow, and the follow is unlimited on a personal page. So because if I'm going to do business with people, I want them to know who I am as a human being before they want to do business with me, and vice versa. I'm going to research them before I do business, with them. So that's kind of the tip, is make your personal page to be even more awesome than your business page, because there's more eyeballs on you as an individual before someone makes a decision to want to do business with your company.
Right. I mean, you look at brands like Kentucky Fried Chicken, for example. They knew that they had to have a physical person. I mean, they had the old guy with the white suit and the cane, is like going around. Insurance understood that they needed to, and like when you thought about insurance, is like they needed to give it a physical something. And Geico, Gecko, that they had to do that. Like there's a reason why brands have to bring in like Ronald McDonald, and they had the physical actual person, which looked like a pedophile always, but like a guy running around in an orange and red suit with makeup on. That's strange. And you see it. I mean, look at, Steve Jobs. I mean, his iconic brand, the most powerful company in the world. He knew that. And he learned that from Pixar, because he didn't learn it the first go round when they fired him and he came back from Pixar. It's like building a brand that people have to have something, because a company is just a bunch of people. Like when people say, oh, that company did that. Well, hold on a minute. It's not a company. It's people. And there's more than one person that works at that company. And that one person doesn't speak for all of them in the real sense. But in the perception sense, Steve Jobs spoke for the whole company.
Yep.
And it is the same thing, what you're saying. People have to like, know, and trust people before they're ever going to even listen to or buy anything from you. I mean, I don't know how much proof people need. I mean, Oprah Winfrey made $1 billion interviewing interesting people. And she got so famous that she could literally say, hey, you see this pen right here? This is my favorite pen. And within an hour, whoever made that pen would have their server would shut down, and they'd have to spend months trying to make enough pens to keep up with them. But she was just a person.
Yeah.
But she just happened to be a person that a lot of people knew, a lot of people connected with, and that a lot of people looked for her for advice. And that's what you and I today are just trying to convey to people is like, hey, if you're in the business world or you're trying to make a name for your family, you got to get your name. You have to get the most amount of people to hear your message. You have to be comfortable with being who you are. And the people that like you will end up doing business with you because they will look for people do business with people they like, know, and trust, and they'll look for you for advice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple formula.
Yeah. And it's a strategy. It's a strategy. So here's a strategy that I use, and it confuses the crap out of people that don't have the mental aptitude to understand what we're doing. When you go and brand yourself, the number one goal is understand in today's culture and society what offends people. Whether you're right or wrong is irrelevant. Okay. And the rule of thumb is whatever you believe, there's at least 50% of the population that don't believe the way you believe. So by default, do you want to lose 50% of the market share? So the goal is research and find out what offends people. And when you brand yourself, make sure that you don't touch any of those items. Be neutral. Okay. Then you go and find things that even two opposing sides have something in common. Like you mentioned, everybody loves the little cat videos, right? The little doggy videos. Everybody loves babies, right?
Yeah, everybody does love babies.
So then what you do is you push out content that everybody likes, and you keep content away that everybody doesn't agree on. Now, if you have the mindset, well, I'm a die hard this, and I don't care if it offends people, then you know what? You're never going to make it in real business, okay? Because if Subway can be taken out, which they are being taken out because of one mistake they made on a person that they hired, many companies, are suffering. Look at the Starbucks fiasco, and was it New York where the guy was, telling them to be kicked out? So I'm sure somebody's revenue is being affected. So probably these billion-dollar companies don't feel the big impact, but if you're a small entrepreneur like us, you go offend some people and it spreads like wildfire, you will be put out of business. And it's no need to do it because why? Everybody has their own opinion, you know, so we can't fault the other guy because he doesn't like, what you believe in or whatever. So that's my strategy. And when you look at my Facebook page, it's very hard for a Democrat to even accuse me of being a Republican, and it's hard for a Republican to accuse me of being a Democrat. They're like scratching their head thinking, oh my God, let's keep drilling Cory with a bunch of questions, like probing me to find out which side of the fence that I'm on, and they're never going to find it. You see, I'm too elusive. I'm not going to let them be able to corner me and pigeonhole me like that.
Right. I mean, there are companies like Chick-fil-A that they say, hey, we're going to stand for this, and whether you like it or not, we're closed on Sunday. And a lot of people have look for ways to be offended because they're openly a Christian conservative company, and there are companies out there. It's just extremely hard because first off, you have to actually live that lifestyle yourself. Whoever that he did. Because they're going to dig into your whole life and look for one thing when you were 6 years old, when you violated what you stood for. And then they're going to try to tell the whole world, see, he's this, or whatever, whatever it is you stood for.
That's why you pull that rabbit 8 mile trick. You always confess, this is who I was in the past. I was a bad guy. I did these things. So you got to take your past out of their mouth. You remember the 8 Mile, the movie?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Where he was up against the battle and he just said, listen, I'm just going to say all the bad stuff and all my weaknesses. So when you come against me, you have nothing to say.
Right.
And that's how you have to live your life. Always, hey, I'm a sinner. I made mistakes. And this is who I was. And I try to be a better person every day. At the end of the day, nobody can attack that because to attack you, they'll have to attack themselves.
And it's so ironic because we look to politicians, right? We put them on this pedestal, and we try. When I say we, voters try to vote in somebody who's perfect. Like perfect in what way? Like
Perfect
perfect
according to
what?
them.
Exactly.
See?
So as long as they're perfect to them, that makes them perfect. But not every person would consider that person to be perfect. I mean, perfect. Like, it's like you have a family, check. Okay, you got kids, check. You're concerned, you go to church, check. It's like if you're on a certain side, if you don't check all those boxes, then you're
So
not the right person.
So what they're doing is the human being by default will never talk negative about himself. So in his mind, he believes he's perfect, but his mouth he'll say, but nobody's perfect. But in his mind, he's saying he's perfect. So he's choosing people that are like him. So when you go to vote for someone who's like you, and we know that all of us are imperfect, come on, then you're going to have an imperfect person. And that's
Right.
what we have today. A lot of people are very similar to this president, just like the other half of the group was similar to the last president, but they voted on them because they were like those individuals. So we have
Right.
leaders that are just like all of us. There's no way that the leaders can be perfect.
No, there's not. I mean, everybody, like cast the stone. What is it? What's the saying?
He who was not sinned, let him cast the first stone.
Yeah, that one. I'm like, come on now, you're going to be judged. So you don't like Donald Trump, but I'm sure you've done some crazy things in your life. If you brought down the full weight of the the media to research every detail of your whole life, and then they package it up and spin it the way that they want, they could make anyone look like anything that they chose to. That's just a fact. Even though, hey, you may not like the guy. I'm not advocating for the guy. He just happens to be our president. And I know that that even if someone doesn't like or likes the president, why would I wish for my country to not do well? Why would I root against him? I mean, that's silly. That's like rooting against myself. It's like, I hope my quarterback doesn't throw a touchdown because I don't like him.
It doesn't make sense. People want other people to be like them because it justifies their deficiencies.
Yep.
That's the wrong way of thinking. If you're deficient, you want to be around people that are better than you so that you can learn and be brought up to a higher level. You see?
Yep.
So it's backwards. We shouldn't want to bring people down to our level. We should want to be brought up to other people's level and hang around with people that there's a benefit for our own personal life that we can grow and mature and piggyback off of their experiences so that we're not left sitting in the gutter. But it's reverse. It's a reverse way of thinking now in our country. My question is, hey, if this guy is a multi-billionaire and he's owner of 500 companies, what can I learn from this guy? If this guy was a businessman and became the president, how can I learn from that? How did he do it? Social freaking media. Learn how he did it and apply it to your company so then you can have $1 billion company. Hey, I think you put me on pause or something.
This is by so quickly. Yeah, I think it's we have a little difficulty there with the internet. Technical. It's this things you can't control.
It's the Russians, bro. The Russians. They're colluding against us.
Oh, so I'm saying, so we're coming to the end. We're coming to. Yeah, exactly. They heard us talking about conservative issues. So we're coming to the end. If people wanted to learn a little bit more about you, or they could find you, tell me a couple of places that they could go.
I'll tell you one place. www.coryandmillie.com. That's the place where I send people so that you can see if you like me and also get to know me. So that's where we're putting all of our content about who we are as human beings. Yes, there's business stuff, but that's our platform so that you can make an informed decision if you like us, if you want to get to know us, and then hopefully you'll trust us in whatever business matter you want to deal with us.
Well, and man, I appreciate you coming on today. Cory. You give me the most valuable thing that you could give someone, and that's your time. And I always appreciate when somebody takes the time out of their busy day, because I know you got 4 or 5 companies you're running. As long as, and also you have a newborn. So, so yeah, hey, I'll take a pen too. So, well, hey, I'm going to close out the show now, and hey, I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're watching this after recording, thank you. If you're listening to on the podcast, I thank you for coming on. If you're not currently following me on the Think Like a Marketer show page on Facebook, you can go to Think Like a Marketer show. That's where we do this show every Wednesday. I have a Facebook group, the All In Marketer group. I ask that you can join that, where we bring together marketers. We talk about marketing trends, ideas, things that are working, things that are not, and we just have a lot of fun in that group. We're also growing that group so that for people who want to be on shows, who want to be able to grow their brand, that I can connect you with other podcasters and live streamers, and maybe if you are have a topic that works for their target market, that you can come on. So that's all that you can find on Facebook / Think Like a Marketer show. And hey, again, Cory, hey, thanks for coming on today. I really enjoyed it, and there's just never enough time to learn so much about such an interesting person. So again, go to CoryandMillie.com to learn a little bit more about Cory. And again, thanks everybody for joining us today. And take care and have a great day, Cory.
All right, brother. God bless you, man.
All right.